The race for RB1 for the 2024 NFL draft class is wide open. Who are the true challengers for this position? We'll discuss them next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. Welcome back to Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network, as well as the host of the Locked On Clemson Tiger podcast. And guys, thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday, tapping in with us, whether it's audio, YouTube, whatever. We appreciate all the love. And as always, the champ is here, Mr. LSU himself, those other Tigers that we like to talk about. My guy, Keith Sanchez. Keith, talk to him, baby.
Man, you keep sending shots, man. But what's up, Locked On family? I'm going to talk to the family, man, since Damian Parsons has an issue today, man. What's up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, senior draft analyst from the Draft Network, man. And like DP said, 2019 national champ with who? The LSU Tigers, man. 2019 national champs. We talking Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, man. But you know why we're here? We're here to bring you championship level content surrounded the NFL draft 24/7, 365. We're your go-to guys, that duo to go to if you want to know everything surrounding the NFL draft. And we apply it to roster management. We apply it to depth chart. We apply it to all the hottest topics. So make sure y'all stay tapped in every single day. That's why we call y'all our everydayers, man. But DP, you said in your intro, man, you say it every single day, man. You say the running back guru, right? Today we're opening up the scouting notebook, right? We did quarterbacks already. We had a really good 2 episodes on quarterbacks, but today we're transitioning to the running back position, right? We said that running backs were a devalued position. 2 of them went in the first round last draft, right? So this year, DP, the race for RB1, I think last year was from beginning to finish, was Bijan Robinson. But this year, who is running back 1? And are there multiple people that you think should just be considered for RB1?
I think the race for RB1 is wide open. My RB1 right now is TreVeyon Henderson from Ohio State. You know what I mean? And when I looked at him and the full skill set, you know, this is a former wide receiver and defensive back in high school that, you know, is playing running back 5'10", 215, almost 220 pounds. And he's got the NFL build, right? You know, and I think we talked about this in the summer scouting portion. Like, this running back class has all of the traditional size. You got a lot of 6'2", 6'1", 220 plus running backs that you can lean on in the power run game. But with TreVeyon, man, I think he has the best skill set. He's an underutilized receiver out of the backfield, Keith, because again, this kid played wide receiver in high school. Ohio State just don't throw the ball to their running backs, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield. To me, I think he has the best in terms of footwork to exchange gaps, to make guys miss. He has the best in this class to me, especially at the top. His footwork is outstanding, quick, efficient. He's elusive, but he knows how to lower the boom, lower that shoulder, and get those extra and turn out those extra yards as well. But also, he has around 4.4, 4.3 speed. I think he was a 4.42 kid. I think his junior year in high school. So he's a 4.4 type of athlete. He's my RB1 right now, but I do think it's still a wide open race, though, Keith.
Yeah, I would have to say I agree with you. You're tossing some names like Braylon Allen. I know I've seen Will Shipley get thrown around a little bit. Raheem Rocket Sanders with the Arkansas Razorbacks. But I would have to say TreVeyon Henderson, when I watched him, DP, and I just had the opportunity, he appears to be the most complete back, right? And when we talk about complete, is like, okay, what do you look for in a running back? The lateral agility, the ability to make people miss, but then also the ability to run with power and run through arm tackles consistently. And TreVeyon has all of that. He has the explosiveness. He has the vision. The question is this, while we're on this TreVeyon conversation, I want to ask you, because Ohio State, they have a pretty long history of putting running backs in the NFL, right? Like if you go from the days of Carlos Hyde, and you could even go before that, right? Like Carlos
Beanie
Hyde,
Wells.
Beanie Wells. Then you go to the Ezekiel Elliott era. Then who's most recently J.K. Dobbins, right? So they have a ton of running backs. Does he comp any of those running backs? Does he comp to you? Because I think from a height weight perspective, J.K. Dobbins fits the best, but do you necessarily see J.K. Dobbins, or is it somebody from another school when you watch him?
Crazy enough, I was texting one of my scouting buddies in the league, and we were talking about him. And I forgot J.K. went to Ohio State because I texted him. I said, bro, I see J.K. Dobbins in his game. Because I know people would like to attach J.K. Dobbins to his conference mate in terms of Blake Corum. But to me, Blake Corum doesn't have the speed that J.K. had coming out. You know what I mean? Healthy J.K. without the ACL injury and everything. But with TreVeyon, I do see a lot of J.K. Dobbins in his game. It's just funny. I literally forgot he went to Ohio State. But be able to catch the ball. And I'm going to tell you, an underrated part of his game, like, and it's crazy because, it's very similar to wide receivers. Like, nobody cares about blocking, right? Like, Julio Jones might be the best blocking wide receiver we've ever seen. But it's like, that's a part of the game that's really important. Pass protection. This young man is very good in pass protection on tape. Talking about squaring up his target, standing in there with no fear, being able to get his hands fitted, coil through the hips, and really stand strong and tall and protect C.J. Stroud last year. That was something that I knew he was athletic. I knew he was strong. I knew he was quick-footed. But to see him in pass pro, like, and him not being, especially when we get in that next segment, I'm talking about somebody that wasn't so good at pass pro, that's much bigger than him. But but just to see him, and that was probably the most pleasant surprise for me, guys, is that he was so good in pass pro. So, like you said, he got, to me, he has the most complete skill set out of all the backs in this class.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the question is with TreVeyon, how high can he go, right? Because like Bijan, obviously, we're talking about the film checked the box, but then there was also you seen a special level athlete, right? Like it was those game-changing plays. And as weird as it is, I wonder, and it's like this with another powerhouse school too, Alabama. I wonder if Ohio State, with the quarterback situation, if they're going to go to more of running the football, right? And we're going to see more TreVeyon, because as good as TreVeyon is, because I think he's under the radar, if you ask me, because there's not a consensus on it, and people just aren't speaking about him much overall. Like they're
actually leaning to his teammate, Mayan Williams.
Yeah. A lot of people talking about Mayan Williams, and like they're in the same kind of breath. And when you watch him, in my opinion, I don't think so. I think TreVeyon TreVeyon is steps ahead of Mayan Williams when it comes to that. So I'll be interested to see, like, if his stock is able to rise. And that's what I want to ask you. Like, is this a guy that when you watch the athletic profile, right, and I guess you could say it's difficult for running backs to get drafted in the first round. Is this a guy that you see as a first round potential prospect, right? Like, is he automatically a top 40 guy? And let's just see if he can push himself into the first round.
No, I think for me, he's an automatic top 40 guy. And yes, I think he has the ability to push himself into the first round, like that back end of the first, right? I don't know if he will, because again, it's all about usage too. Because we saw if Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't used as the dynamic receiver he was, I think that would have hurt his draft stock, right? Because like that was one of the feather in his cap type situations where, like once you saw him run routes and take a slant 60 yards versus K-State and all stuff like that, you're like, man, this is an absolute weapon at the running back position. But if you don't use him like that, you kind of, all right, what's he as a runner? You just base him off a runner. I want to see him. I think for him to get into that first round, for one, it's going to be two things for me. He's got to stay healthy. He got hurt last year. He's going to have to stay healthy this year and really have a full season. But two, they got to get him involved in the passing game so he can really show teams that full skill set. You don't want to wait till pro day to be like, yeah, I can catch the ball, guys. Like, you want to be able to show that during the season, with guys covering you, things of that nature, wheel routes, whatever, show your ability to track the ball, and that you can be not just in pass pro a 3-down back, but also as a receiving threat, be a 3-down back as well. I think he can get into the first round.
I agree. And we'll see how the rest of this class, folds out as far as premium positions and things like that. But I think, talking to our listeners, right, TreVeyon Henderson is definitely the name to circle right now. And that's from me. That's from Damian Parsons after we watch these guys. But DP, look, man, we're throwing, we're kind of blending this, right? We're going scouting notebook, but we're also throwing in somehow segments, right? So we're going to do some stock up, stock down. You already hinted at a guy that you are stocked down on. And I'm going to say this because I think I know who it is. This is a fairly big name. So y'all might want to stay tuned and hear who DP has to criticize for his pass pro skills as a running back. So coming up next, man, we're getting into the stock up, stock down segment.
Take your first swing at betting on Major League Baseball with FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's correct. Just bet $20, guys, just $20, and you will land $200 back in bonus bets. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. That's $200 that you can spend betting on everything from money line to the over-under to who do you think is going to hit the first home run. All of this on an app that is safe, secure, super easy to use, no stress, no mess type of situation. So, plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. Because when you win your money, you want your money right away. It's your money and you want it now. There's no better place to bet on MLB or Major League Baseball and all the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So what do you need to do? Sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on because FanDuel is the official partner of Major League Baseball. The stock market for running backs is open, Keith. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to start it off.
Go ahead.
This guy had so much hype for like the last 2 years in the Big Ten. Wisconsin running back Braylon Allen. I came in, I watched the tape. The numbers are great. The tape is okay to me. And when I see his skill set, this is a former linebacker converted to running back. And I'm just like, he's like 6'2", 240, 6'1", 6'2", 240. And I'm watching. First of all, let's address the pass pro thing that really bothered me, grounded my gears, man. Because you're a big guy.
Get into it.
And he is diving at ankles, whiffing, missing, leaving Graham Mertz back there just unprotected, getting sacked, getting pressured. And I'm like, this isn't, you know what I'm saying? Because he runs hard. He runs physical, a downhill thumper type of back to where, you know what, he may not be like, he may not be a star back in the NFL, but you think about teams kind of gravitating away from the bell cow back. They just want a committee. He could lead your committee as your early down back, and you pair him with a more explosive change of pace guy. So you think about the Lindale Whites, the Thunder and Lightning situation, right? You can get that with him being Thunder. But for him to run as physical as he is and be as strong as he is, but to take the angles and approach the pass pro that he took, I was flabbergasted, guys. I was sitting there scratching. I rewinded plays. I was like, nah, that couldn't happen. Let me just rewind. And I even went to the little wheel. I slowed it down, make sure I wasn't seeing things that I wasn't seeing.
Yeah, I know you were shocked because you text me, right? And was like, man, we got to talk. I'm like, man, what's going on? He's like, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about Braylon Allen. I was like, oh, man. But
I was disappointed.
Yeah, I heard it in your voice, and I can hear it again. And I'm more sure the listeners hear it again, DP. How important, so I want to ask this, because we talk about pass pro running backs, and it's usually a secondary skill set, right? Like secondary, maybe even third after the ability to catch the ball, right? Like, so it's running the ball, catching the ball, then pass pro. Yep. How much is that going to factor in for you? Like, how big of a factor was it for you when you watched Braylon Allen?
It was a pretty decent factor because I don't see a back in terms of the receiving chops and receiving skill set that is going to catch a lot of passes on third downs. So it's like, okay, if you're going to be my lead guy in the NFL, I'm going to need you to protect my quarterback on third downs. If we're dealing with the pressure, you think about those defensive coordinators that like to heat up the quarterback, whether it's blitzes, they find different ways to get their rushers free runs and the twists and stunts and the loopers and all that slants and all that stuff. You need a guy that's going to be able to, okay, if I don't send you on a route, because I don't want to max protect if I got Travis Kelce or Darren Waller. I don't want to keep them in and block. I want to have a running back in the backfield where I can let my receivers and my tight ends get out in routes. And now I got a guy that I know if that edge rusher wins that matchup with our right tackle or my left tackle, I know that you can scan, come across the formation, and make a nice block. Not a chip block, but actually standing in there and doing what you need to do. And I just did not see that. Now, again, I will say this, Keith, and you know for a fact, too, and I think you talked about when we had the Talent Factor pod, how you guys coached at LSU was big on big, small on small. So running backs back, block linebackers. You're not expecting the running back to block a 325-pound nose tackle.
Right. Yeah.
Braylon Allen is big enough that he should absolutely be able to help block a 325-pound nose tackle. But for him, you can speak to this as a coach. It's something that you can teach, but it's also it could be a skill issue, but a lot of times it's a will issue. Like, will you won't do it.
And I think so. You can teach technique. You can't teach the want to part, right? Like you can't teach the physicality of the like stepping up. And the thing is this, that if they don't want any part of the physical part of that, the technique always goes out the window because they find a way to miss. You know what I'm saying? So like they can step up, have good, have a good base, good pace for power, have their hands in the correct position. You know what I'm saying? Pick up the right guy. And if they don't want to do it, they're going to find a way that when it comes to that moment, right, that collision moment, that moment of contact, they're going to find a way to kind of get
make a business decision.
Yeah, basically that's the best way to call it. That's the best way I could say it. I was trying to avoid my coaching terminology, and just just letting loose on a podcast. But yeah, it's definitely that. They're gonna find a way to make a business decision. DP, you talked about Braylon Allen stock down, right? I want to go stock up on a guy. And he hasn't put it all the way together yet. But similar to Jahmyr Gibbs, I think there is something there. And that is Michigan running back Donovan Edwards. Not Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, man. And am I cheating a little bit? Yes, I'm cheating a little bit. Okay, because we recruited this guy out of high school when I was at LSU. And you go back and you watch the high school film, Donovan Edwards was a really good wide receiver too. Like he was a receiving threat. He made big plays, explosive plays at the receiver position at Michigan. He's been, like, when we talk about that thunder and lightning, he's been more lightning, right? And I expect this year just for him to get more of a workload. And you've seen the games. I'm trying to think. Ohio State, maybe it was TCU. I can't remember, but it was 2 games, right, when I watched it, that he had explosive plays. And I think that's what you're going to get out of Donovan Edwards is explosive plays. And he's a good running back. Do I think he's on the level of Jahmyr Gibbs all the way? No, but I think that this is a guy that if he can put together 800 yards rushing, another 500-600 yards receiving out of the backfield, do some different things as far as lining up in a slot, right, and making plays, I think he can run himself into the second round, DP. I just feel really comfortable with that skill set. So I'm excited when we talk about a stock up. I'm excited for Donovan Edwards, the running back from Michigan, the running mate with Blake Corum.
No, I'm excited for him too, man, because it was a TCU game. TCU came into that game and wanted to stop the run. They didn't stop it initially because he had a big explosive run there, like
early.
60
Yeah,
yards.
And I remember thinking
early.
like, oh yeah, this is gonna get bad. Like I remember thinking this. I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna turn out good.
D. Winter said, nah, we're not doing that. He started shooting every single gap he could and stopped the run. But Donovan Edwards has all the things that Blake Corum doesn't have. Blake Corum's elusive, but like the receiving ability to flex him out wide, put him in the slot, but also the breakaway speed too. Like he can go in open field and really separate from defenders that were you question that about Blake Corum, especially when when you hear the reports that he's kind of bulked up to like 225 or something like that. So it's like he's kind of added some weight, so that might slow him down a little bit. But kid, I want to go to the SEC, your neck of the woods, not LSU specifically, but the SEC, to Jarquez Hunter. And talk about stock up, man.
You must say stock up, huh? Yeah. And I don't even mean to cut you off, DP, but I watched him. I watched the game against LSU, and I watched a couple other games, and I'm like, that guy's pretty good. They should give him the football more. Like, just one of those things, just like, this is easy, right? Give that guy the football. The quarterback situation was bad at Auburn last year, so I would leave the game with Jarquez Hunter touching the football 25 to 30 times a game, because at this point, what do you have to lose, right? Like, just give your best player the football. But I'm going to let you go ahead. I agree. I just wanted to jump in there and say I agree with you. Let's stock up on this kid.
No, he's no Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby's in Jacksonville with Travis Etienne. This is his backfield now. Coach Cadillac Williams, who took over for Brian Harsin, like once he took over, you saw the emphasis on the run game because Coach Cadillac knew, man, we can't throw the football. Like we knew they couldn't throw the ball. So he said, I got two really talented running backs. Let's feed them both. And you saw that. And this kid is explosive. He's again similar to J.K. Dobbins. Another name, I thought about even with TreVeyon was like the Ray Rice kind of comp too, like that short, squatty, muscular build. He's low center of gravity, kind of Maurice Jones-Drew, that bowling ball type of build, but he's explosive in open field. He can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. A good receiving threat. Like I said, he runs hard. I like his footwork to be able to, whether it's zone or gap, like to be able to find running lanes and find daylight. And I always say this. You talk about coaching terms. You always tell running backs, your eyes and your feet have to be paired together. It have to be a marriage. You can't divorce. Your eyes can't look one way and expect your feet to go a different direction. It's just not physically possible. So when your eyes and feet are so paired together like his, like you can press a gap and see that cutback lane, and as your eyes see it, now your feet move with your eyes. And he does a good job of that as well. Good contact balance. This is a talented kid, man. And I think he's one of those potential risers in this class where now, I mean, you look at where he's listed, he's like 5'10", 202. So he'd probably be 205, you know what I mean? Getting into the combine. So some people might try and knock him.
Yeah, that's the thing that's gonna catch him up, right? Because if he's 5'9", 199, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like, where are we going to place him, right? And then that's when I think you start getting into the Keyshawn Vaughns, right? And then with the Tyler, was it Tyler Beatty out of Missouri, I think a couple of years ago, just those type of running backs. But DP, I agree with you, man. The guy, he's talented. He's just overall talented. And I think this is overall going to be a fun running back class. But speaking of the running back class, it's time to talk about our perspective, right? How do we feel about it? We compare classes 2022 to 2023. We're going to get into this conversation of, do we believe that this class will be better than last year's class? We're talking about 2 first-rounders last year, right? We had Zach Charbonnet go early. We had Tank Bigsby go early. So we had Eric Gray go to the Giants, right? We had so many names. Israel Abanda-Candle went to the Jets. So we had so many names that came off the board as far as the running back position. We just want to do quick comparison. Like, hey, from what we've seen, initial look, do we believe that this 2023 class can be better from the perspective of depth, talent, and skill set? So coming up next, we're getting into that conversation.
The 2024 class, to me, guys, is better than 2023. Now, at the top, of course, you got Bijan and you got Jameer.
Yeah,
right?
Like, we got to get to this. You made the statement. We got to talk about it, DP. So
you got those two dudes, right? You got those two guys. But when I look at this class and the potential of this class, to me, I just see more NFL-ready players, more NFL-ready body types, players. We talked about Raheem Sanders and Braylon Allen, Will Shipley, another guy, 5'11", 205, 4'4" type of athlete. And I know what the lazy comps is going to be, Christian McCaffrey, because he's a white running back. He's not Christian McCaffrey, but he is really talented though, and he can do a lot of different things in terms of out of the backfield. You talked about Donovan Edwards. Keith, we didn't even get into Trey Benson until now from Florida State. Another physical, kind of one of those high cut, high upright runners.
And just starting to throw out comparisons. If we're looking at past running backs, right? He kind of reminds me of a TJ Yeldon-esque type back, because he is a higher cut type back. And there's more names, and this is just surface level, speaking to our people. But if you're trying to profile a guy, you're looking for like his body profile, he's kind of cut more like a TJ Yeldon-esque type back, which TJ Yeldon had some productive years down there with Jacksonville. Was he ever the number one? No, but he had some productive years. And another guy that you may want to throw out the name, another high cuttish type back, is Jay Ajayi, right, from Boise State.
Yes,
a couple of years ago, he was another high cut back. So I agree that Trey Benson is in there. That was an interesting take, DP. If you ask me, will this 2024 class be better than 2023? I ain't say nothing, right? Because I'm unsure. I'm unsure right now, because you know what I just keep thinking about is Bijan and Jameer. And I know I have to let it go, right? I have to move on. That was last year's draft. I have to turn the page. But all I can say is, like, man, it was good. That was some good players. There was some good running backs.
That's facts.
But I do agree with you, DP, that while you may not have the 2 A+, there may be more B level players across
Yeah.
the board, right? Like you make it more Bs, right? Like before it falls off the cliff. So I agree with you, DP, in the sense of the fact, like I'm not saying I agree with you, but I can see where
You
you
agree.
find.
You said it. So you
I'm
agree.
not yet. I'm not committing to it. I'm not committing to it yet. But I can see where you can, find the will to say that this class will be better.
No, and this, like I said, just and I love that analogy. While Jameer and Bijan were the A's, the A pluses. This class has more B started the B plus type of range, but then it's not an immediate drop off to C's and D's. It's B plus, potential B plus, B minus. Then you start to get into the C pluses. So it's literally a gradual kind of drop down rather than B plus. All right, we're down in the C minus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I
Where
think
and I think it's just it's a deep class as well, because I didn't even bring up Carson Steele, who transferred to UCLA. Big kid, like he was on the freak list too, on Bruce Feldman's freak list. He was like number 98, 6 foot 225, 7% body fat, benches 405, squat 615. It's a lot of dudes in this class, man.
Yeah, I want to just like until your point and just quickly, because we're talking about scenarios, I'm gonna make this statement and then talk about the scenario that the NFL teams may enjoy this more. Like, because you talked about running back by committee, right? And that last year's class, it was a lot of scat backs. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't as many power runners. When you think about an Eric Gray, talking about Devon Achane, the guys like that, even Jahmyr Gibbs, who we just mentioned. But this class is a bigger backs, right? So you can draft those complementary pieces. And I think that the NFL GMs will enjoy that more, right? Because I can just draft that power guy and just insert him here. And it's like, okay, I'm getting me a solid back. And it's not an immediate fall off. You know what I'm saying? Because we have our smaller scat back. Because thinking about it, when we had our discussion about the Dallas Cowboys, right? And we talked about, man, what are they going to do in the draft, right? Are they going to go after Zach Charbonnet? Remember we had this conversation? And then we was like, because after Zach Charbonnet, who's left? You know what I'm saying? As far as these big power backs. And it was Zach Charbonnet, and it might have been one other running back. And then it was and it was a significant fall off. I think this, like if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're sitting there like, okay, if it's not Will Shipley, then we got Trey Benson. If it's not Trey Benson, then that there's other backs. There's like 4 or 5 other running backs that we can lean on. So to your point, DP, I agree from that perspective. Just with the NFL drafting by committee.
And to close it out, Keith, to add on to what you said, like the NFL teams might enjoy this more. Then that also, on the flip side of that, it's kind of a two-sided coin. Because then it's like, for the running backs perspective, it's like, they might enjoy our class, but that might mean that I might fall a little bit further down, because teams are like, man, it's a lot of these guys. I could just wait until the 5th round and grab, Alton Maskell from Houston, 6'1", 215. You know what I mean? Different things of that nature. Wait for a Devin Neal who's 5'11", 210. These guys, it's so many, and I'm not a stickler on build, but there's so many NFL body types in this running back class it's like the receivers. Last year we saw a bunch of small receivers that pretty much were slot guys, and we had a lot of scat backs. This year we got bigger receivers and bigger running backs. So 2024, you might as well look at it like Texas. Everything's bigger. You know what I mean? So it just is what it is. You got bigger bodies, man. But guys, listen, that's our show, man. We appreciate all the love and support as always. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it's available. Thank y'all again, as always, for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday, being our family and our everydayers. On Monday, happy Friday, by the way. I keep forgetting to say at the beginning of the show, but happy Friday. Have a great weekend. But on Monday, we'll get into a mock draft Monday, another 2024 mock draft that we're going to see. It's some spicy things in that mock draft. I'm like, okay. And we want to go over that with y'all the same way we did with Ian Cummings. So we want to go over that mock draft on Monday, bringing back mock draft Monday. But guys, listen, in terms of Twitter, you can find Keith Sanchez at The Talent Code. Follow him as well. And for me, Damian Parson, DP_NFL. Talk to us because we talk back. Listen, come and join the conversation again on Monday on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.